Y'all know what time it is. Another book review. I'm still reading about this book, but this is fresh in my head. I just want to plant the seeds and so you guys' subconscious mind. But Black Labor, White Wealth. What I actually learned from Dr. Claude Anderson's The Search for Power and Economic Justice, man. So the whole synopsis of this book, he really goes into detail of the black slave environment and how slavery really was a psychological, spiritual type of detrimental thing for black people, man, and how it really destroyed us mentally and spiritually before we came to America. And also too, it talks about the state of the black community. Now, I really love this book. It goes into straight detail. I mean, this is awesome. I mean, I copped this off from Amazon. Real good. You can check my other video. Actually, I made an Instagram video about this, man. But this is a really good book so far. I'm only like about 50 more pages left, but I really like what he talks about, man. The BS that we've been learning in history classes, man. I remember in grade school we was always taught that World War I, World War II. I mean, just shit like that, and then a little bit of slavery and the same Martin Luther King, Michael X type stuff. But we never went into detail of why, like saying these European nations at the time just decided to take upon their hands to take us from our resources of Africa. And I'm not making this a racial thing. I'm just making this just a reality thing. I mean, I just feel like this is really, really interesting for me to know. Interesting for the people to know because as I did some research, our forefathers, black people, founded this country. Benjamin Banneker, he was known for making the wooden clock, the first wooden clock. He taught himself astrology. You know what I'm saying? He was a free slave. And not too many people talk about that, man. We always talk about these other political leaders. No disrespect to them like that. That's really known, like Martin Luther King and them. But we really don't go into detail of the forefather, the root, or the people who actually started this country. The only thing is with the European nations, man, we then started this in the 1400s. 1400s, want to say till the 1580s or 1550s. That's when it really began. The slave trade started to happen, man. They started really taking us from slave ships, and they imported like over what 53 million Africans, man, over 17 ships, whatever. 53 million Africans to sell in Americas, and nearly like 60 or 75% of them died, man, from AIDS or some type of when women used to have menstrual cycles, man. They was like bondage and change. And y'all seen Roots, man. It was really graphic. It was really deep, man, and they really destroyed culture, and they hit us with the Bible, right? And we were kind of illiterate at the time, and I believe that slavery really started back in the Deuteronomy chapter 28 when Abraham prophesied when Israel, we are the nation called of Israel, right? The first tribe of Israel, we was turning away from God. We decided to make our own type of civilization in Egypt. And the book of Judges, it said that God, he's going to turn his a covenant away from us. You know what I'm saying? He was gonna do that, and we really didn't take God seriously. And time after time again, he had prophets prophesizing us, to turn back from our ways and to get back right with God, get right back with Him, and honor His 10 Commandments. But Deuteronomy 28, you don't do that. We were cursed, and He's and prophesies that it's gonna be a different nation come up here that's gonna enslave us, and we will not receive reward from the sweat of our brow until we turn back to our law. So I don't know if we're cursed, but at that time, we're led to slavery in the 1400s. But it's a possibility, and it was real deep, man. They took a lot of our African resources, man. They took, like I said, they took our wealth, the gold mine trade, and man, the Pilgrims started coming into existence in the 1600s. And you gotta understand, in the 1500s, this book talks about that the European nations was in poverty at that time, so they chose to choose blacks. Because I feel like they're very vulnerable, and we just had no type of defense to defend ourselves at the time. It just hit us. Now the Indians were there too, but they were fighting back. They actually enslaved the Indians, but the Indians actually were fighting back. So they started to, want to, how can I say, start an agreement or some type of peace treaty with them. But it's real interesting, man. And it talks about the Dred Scott case in 1862, man. 1852, I want to say. It violated the blacks 13, 14, 15, 16 Amendment, man, where 3/5 a person according to the United States Constitution. So we have to renounce our nationality and even to get any type of rights, which is the root of the problem. And you go already go into detail. I think I said about this before that America was founded by English merchants in the 1500s. America. So It's a capitalist type of society, man. This is why I always preach that we have to become producers instead of consumers. Considering that blacks have a 1.1 trillion spending power, and they said in 2017 it's projected to exceed to 1.3 trillion dollars. 1.3 trillion dollars. You know what I'm saying? And that's not because we paying our bills. And that's like consumers are buying things, investing our money basically not into assets, something that we can really just look forward to in the future and pass down to generations of kids, man. You know, according to our race. And I feel like this is what state that we're in. You know, and it inspires me too that finding out that, you know, time after time again, you know, and according to the Civil War, it's starting 4 years in about 4 years in the 1860s, man. You know, we was fighting for our rights before Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, and we always fought in the Revolutionary War. You know, by Peter Steele, he actually defended George Washington. You know, those type of things, man. Those type of people, man, that really hasn't been recognized, and there were black folks. And I'm just saying, like our ancestors as a whole really worked hard in this country, man. You know, and we just I just feel like as a whole we really not honoring it, or we just not getting the rights that we deserve. And we do kind of, some people believe we deserve type of reparations, but at the same time though, we kind of do this to ourselves too, when black on black crime and all kinds of things. But we got to know our history, you know. And I just find this a little interesting reading this book, man. It was mind boggling. And Dr. Claude Anderson, you can look him up. He's a very well known educator and black scholar. He had actually W.E.B. Du Bois. He's heavily influenced by Marcus Garvey when we had Black Wall Street. So I just found this interesting, man. I love reading about history, and I just want to, you know, kind of share this stuff with you guys. But it's really interesting, man. I mean, he talked about the Virginia Fugitive Law Act. I think it happened in 1642, man, which they branded slaves, runaway slaves, with an R to let them know that, hey, you know, uh, this is the type of nigga he was trying to run away, so we had to brand him. So they labeled him, and they was profiting off of him, man. You know, on the 13 colonies, you got Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Missouri, Maine, all of them, you know, Vermont. They were actually profiting off of black folks before America really came to establish with the 50 states, man, and Louisiana, all that. And it was real deep, man. And ever since the Emancipation Proclamation, you know, I feel like the black community is where it is. It has no type of wealth. Is because, I mean, back in history, in the 1800s, it was so many laws that black people couldn't do. You know, they couldn't. It was a lot of restrictions. I mean, for instance, I remember I think in the 1860s they had the Georgia state law. You know, Georgia, the people in the state of Georgia did not employ black people into drugstores or anything. You know, so then the public school system was like, well, if you're not going to, you know, educate, I mean, not going to, you know, give us jobs, some type of employment to compete, you know, you got least you can do is educate us, since you spiritually and psychologically damage us. And that's when the public school system started. They was like, well, we can't just educate, you know, just one group of people. We have to educate all. You know, that's when, you know, made it affordable for all education. That's when you got started up institutions, educational institutions, and it was linked up to corporations, man. But this is a real interesting book, man. I really like it. I'm still reading it, and you know, it's real history, you know. And I just want this to empower, you know, my black folks especially, people too that's white that's just listening, man. But you know, we were the founders of this country, and I was just like, wow, man, you know. And it's gonna be a time we're gonna stop begging, like, you know, as a whole, like black people gonna stop begging. But I don't know, this is real interesting, man. I got a lot of more books that's coming up, and I'm just working on, like I said, my book I'm writing right now, you guys. So I'm probably gonna post a little bit of that, but I'm gonna get out of here. You guys continue to subscribe, like, comment, man. Shouts out to everybody who's been messing with me. Continue to subscribe to this channel. Love y'all. Deuces.